Hi everyone, David Fletes, your local realtor. Today I'm with my friend and estate planning attorney, Mark Ignacio, and we're gonna go over about estate planning.
Good afternoon, everybody. Mark Ignacio here, estate planning attorney. Have my own practice here in La Mesa. Been doing this thing for 10 years. And any type of estate planning or estate settlement needs, please go ahead and hit me up.
Okay, Ignacio, so we have a few questions that we'd like to go ahead and talk to you about today. Number one, what is estate planning?
Yeah, that's a great question. Get this asked constantly here. So the legal definition of estate planning is the process in which one undertakes to determine the disposition of the assets upon them passing away or incapacity issue. Incapacity is really important here because so many people think about, oh, let me get a will, let me get a trust, and with the idea that, oh, this is what's gonna happen when I ultimately pass away. And yes, that's incredibly important and inevitable, but we have to look at the flip side of that coin. What happens if, God forbid, there's a mental incapacity event? We never know what will happen. Look at the past couple of years. Who thought that COVID was gonna be hitting us? So we wanna just get prepared. So estate planning encompasses those issues as far as what happens when we ultimately pass away, but also what happens if there is a mental incapacity event.
Okay, and let me ask you number two. What is the difference between estate planning and a will?
Yeah, that's another good question there. So estate planning, think of that from a very macro perspective, big picture perspective, where estate planning includes several types of instruments, several types of documents. One of them is the will. The will is only effective when somebody passes away. So I'm sure you've seen it in various Hollywood movies and TV shows where somebody dies, you go into like a sullen type of room where the lawyer is reading the will, like, oh, so-and-so gets this, so-and-so gets that. People are crying. It's just like really sullen type of affairs. One, that never happens in real life. That's what the will does, though. It just distributes who gets what when somebody passes away. But that's just a very small sliver of what estate planning encompasses. Estate planning has so much more to do than what happens when you pass away. We have to look at, again, incapacity issues. Who's gonna be doing what in case I get into a car accident? I miraculously survive it, but I'm no longer mentally there. Do I want the courts to run my affairs, or do I want to have a plan in place where I can use all my financial assets to be able to legally appoint somebody of my choosing to be able to run everything that I want to do there? So again, the trust, the will, the healthcare directive, powers of attorney, they all work in concert with each other to make that proper estate plan. So again, the will is just a very small sliver of what that thing will encompass.
Wow, I didn't know that. That was really good information. All right, let me ask you number three. What are some possible repercussions to bank accounts or property if there's no estate plan in place?
That's a gigantic type of consequence here, David, and I'm sure you've dealt with this when people are selling homes and we may have to go through the probate process of selling it because the person that's on the title passed away. Yeah, that person may have left children, may have left other family members. So what is the way that they're able to actually sell the home? Well, they're not on title anymore, right? Because the person who was on title passed away. So you have to go through the probate process. You have to go through the courts. As I mentioned previously, going through the courts is a relatively expensive, time-consuming ordeal that you want to try to avoid. With proper estate planning, this will help circumnavigate the need to go through the courts, so that if somebody passes away and they call you to try to sell the home so it can be equally divided, well, they're able to do that without having court interference. It will reduce the costs, it will make things a lot easier to manage without having that overall supervision. So when it comes to properties, when it comes to bank accounts, having a proper estate plan established while you're alive and while you're mentally present will do so much wonders here because you have that peace of mind.
Perfect. Okay, this is a really good one and really important. Do survivors pay any taxes on the assets once they get them?
So when it comes to beneficiaries receiving their inheritance, we have to think of what the code says, the income tax code here. And the income tax code says that you're only responsible for taxes on things that you are compensated for, right? But as far as gifts are concerned, you actually don't pay any taxes on things that you receive. It doesn't mean that during the administration of the estate, whether that's through probate or relative simple trust administration, taxes are going to be paid. But before the beneficiaries are going to be getting their inheritance, all of those taxes would be paid by the estate, by the trust already. So the things that they're going to be receiving should be relatively free and clear.
Perfect. Now, question number 5. What documentation do we need to get started, and does this expire?
Yeah, so in order for, number one, it doesn't expire. Estate plans, once you create it, it will just be moving forward till you're passing here, right? So as far as the documentation that we need to get started, well, from my office, what we do is we schedule you with a one-on-one here, and we have these 90-minute long strategy sessions, as I like to call them. And before you come in, we want you to complete like a 4 to 5 page client organizer that details your family information, details some assets that you have. And when we come and meet with in the strategy session, we want you to just be able to be open and honest with us. We want to get to know you. We want to get to know your goals, your wishes. This is not like a type of machine that we're operating that we're just a document producing type of service. We want to get to know you. We want to get to know your family. We want to know what makes you tick, because using these concrete goals can really help us together in planning your estate plan specifically here.
And number 6, the last question. After the person passes away, how soon can the beneficiaries get access to the assets?
Yeah, great question. So when it comes to beneficiaries receiving their share, there is an incredible amount of administration that needs to take place. The short answer is maybe within the span of a year. Okay. And it really depends on what avenue do you take. Do you have to go through probate? If you go through probate, it will take more than a year for the beneficiaries to receive it. If you have a trust and it's properly maintained, it's properly funded, then if all the beneficiaries are able to pull on the same rope, we can get the distributions out within a few months. So this is one of the reasons why we stress the importance of having a proper estate plan, a proper trust, and one that's properly maintained throughout your life, because it will make life so much easier when you ultimately do pass for the beneficiaries that you're ultimately going to be leaving.
All right. Well, thank you, Mark. Thank you very much for sharing all this great information today, talking about estate planning. And there you guys have it. If you guys have any questions regarding estate planning, please give a call to my friend Mark. He will definitely help you. Thank you.